everyone, and welcome back to the Peninsulas. As you can see here, the temperature difference has really increased between Florida and Michigan, so life is looking quite a bit different from the north to the south right now. It's about 74 degrees in Florida today, and 29 in Michigan with lots of snow. But for us here in Florida, we're just happy to have made it through that freeze a couple weeks ago. And it's been pretty moderate temperatures since then. The banana trees, as you can see, are a little bit confused. They're putting up new suckers just because of all the warm weather. And the rest of the plants are also confused. My Confederate rose here is putting out new buds, even though the dead foliage is still hanging there. So it's been warm, and then sometimes we'll get into the 40s at night, but it's basically been just kind of a roller coaster of temperatures. And Linus there, he's happy that it's warmer too. But I just wanted to take you through today kind of what a day around the farm looks like for me. And usually it's filled with odds and ends projects. So, as you can see here, it's time to move the chicken tractor. I built this chicken tractor from... There's this book called Polyface Designs. It was written by, at least in part written by Joel Salatin. And it's a book where they just list all these different farm things that you can build, and they give you all the materials and things that you need for it, and it tells you step by step how to construct them. So it was a super helpful book for me. And so I took a design from that book and I built this chicken tractor. I changed a few things and I made it smaller than the design called for. I think this one is 8 by 10. But I wanted a size that I could pull around the yard myself if I didn't have help. Now, thankfully, my parents are here most of the time, and they can help me with this. But the 8 by 10 size is doable if you're just one person alone. So if you're wanting to build a chicken tractor that you can handle without any help, this is a good size for that, while still allowing for quite a few chickens. So I have 25 chickens in this chicken tractor right now. I had 2 wheels on the back, but one after a couple years broke off, and I haven't replaced it yet. My dad did some repairs on the back of this because the wood along the bottom had rotted a little bit. So you can see that new board there across the bottom and the back. And then I have the one wheel. So it still works great for one person to pull, but we shove this metal T-post underneath it, and it helps it kind of slide along without getting stuck in the mud or in the sand. We usually have one or the other, so. But the chickens, they learn really quickly when you start to pull that they just need to walk along with you. And so it works out really well. They rarely get stuck under the sides or anything like that. A couple times I have caught a leg or two underneath the sides as I pull it, but as soon as I lift it up, they're able to kind of run out, and so far I haven't had any major injuries. I did want to tell you guys that I was online, I think it was on YouTube, I forget who I was watching, but someone had a chicken tractor design very similar to this one, but it had flaps that fold out. They can fold up for moving, but then they folded out around the bottom of the chicken tractor for when you have it placed somewhere. And it was to prevent predators from digging under. And I will say that if I build another one of these, I definitely want to design it with something like that in mind, because we've been putting these logs around the outside to help deter predators from trying to dig under, but it's not ideal, and it certainly takes a long time to move them all around. And so I think a design that is built onto the chicken tractor itself would be perfect. And it would save a lot of time when trying to move these guys. But as it is, we just, we've been making do with what we have, and it really has been working well. Over the years, we've had a couple aggressive dogs kind of rip the sides off of it and get at our chickens. So I have around the whole thing, even the plastic part or the mesh part, I have reinforced with extra mesh so that hopefully no predators can pull through the plastic or pull through the one layer of mesh. It's double meshed all the way around. And since then, we have not had any dogs get in there. So I do recommend reinforcements. We have some pretty aggressive stray dogs around here that have been a constant problem. So thankfully lately we have not had that much of an issue. But with 25 chickens in this 8x10 tractor, we move it every couple days. And you can kind of gauge this just based on looking at your chickens every day, and you can see how messy they've made it in there. And we just kind of go by that. So if it's looking like they've been pretty messy or they don't have any more grass in there, then we go ahead and move it to the next spot. And the next, when the warm weather hits again in the spring, it's really fun because you can see where your chicken tractor has been, because the grass will come in super thick and dark and lush just from where the chicken tractor has been sitting, because the chickens do such a good job of kind of aerating the soil and then also fertilizing it. So the grass in those areas just takes off. I have this 3-gallon waterer that I've been using for them. I do recommend a 5-gallon waterer. It would last longer. I had a really nice 5-gallon waterer, but the plastic kind of got old. So we have this one, which works well. If you do ever get this kind, just be sure to screw on the lid on top really tightly, because otherwise it all spills out, as you can see here. I had to tighten it and refill it because the pressure wasn't correct. But there's the old spot, and as you can see, they've got it all ready to go. My next project for this day was to work on my worm bed. I got a old freezer from a friend of mine. It didn't work anymore, so they brought it to my house and dropped it off. And I drilled a couple holes in the bottom for drainage, and then I lined I took the shelves out, obviously, but after that, and I painted the outside of it so that it wasn't such a glaring white color out in my field. I just got some spray paint and sprayed the outside, and then I put it up on blocks, or bricks rather, so it was just slightly slanted towards the front where I drilled the holes. And I just drilled a couple holes through into the bottom of it so that if there's ever extra moisture built up in there, it can drain out. And then I lined the bottom of it with kind of a mesh that would allow for water to flow out, but it would also kind of hold soil and organic matter. So the worm bed has been sitting for a long time. I had worms in it at one point, but it's been a long time since there have actually been worms in it. And so I'm trying to resurrect it because I use it as my compost bin. So it's been great for compost, but I want to actually get some active worms back in it. So that's what I'm working on here. So basically it's been sitting with layers of compost, like kitchen scraps. It's got dirt underneath, and then I have this, I have layers of straw, but then I have this layer on top that has just old grass clippings that I raked up from the yard and put on top. So now my goal is to cover all of these grass clippings with dirt. And as you can see, I got this dirt from my horse's pen because it's full of nice manure, and it's manure that's been sitting in the dirt for a while, so it's all loamy and broken down and light. So this is really good dirt to put even just in a compost bin, but also if you're thinking about putting worms, it's got a lot of organic matter that the worms would really like. So I'm just going to make an even layer of dirt on top. I don't want to fill it up to the top because you want to have room where you can dig down and put your compost scraps in there, and kind of build it up that way. So if you fill it all the way up to the top, then it will just be kind of overfilled and hard to work with. So I definitely just want to get enough in there to cover my grass clippings. And then as far as if you're thinking about doing worms, I've experimented with local worms. So I did two things. I borrowed some worms that were in my friend's worm bed that she got from her yard. She just scooped them up after a rain and put them in her worm bed, and they did reproduce. They did break down her compost, but after a while they all left. They're able to kind of wriggle down through those holes that you drill in the bottom and get out if they want to. And so I tried them, and the same thing kind of happened to me. The worms stayed for a while, but then they left. And then the other thing I tried was I went to the creek down the road and I dug my own worms, but they didn't stick around either. And that was just me trying to experiment and try different things. But once I did research, I realized that there are so many different kinds of worms that you could use, but there are ones that are specifically good for compost. So I would recommend ordering some specifically composting worms if you're thinking about doing this. That's going to be my next step. So they say it works a lot better. I'm sure they're right. So I'll let you know how that goes if I get to that stage. But for now, it'll just be a good composting bin. It's important to keep it as damp as possible without, being sopping. But as long as it's got a lot of good organic matter and it's nice and soggy, then your compost will break down really well, and you can use that on your garden in the spring. And you can really use any kind of container. This one was handy, but really anything that kind of keeps it contained is a good idea. Don't forget to thank your pony. He's always helpful. My next project for this day was I needed to check Hank's feet. And I typically try to give him a grooming session anyway each day if I can. I don't always get to it. The days fill up so fast, but with him, he's just so easy and calm, and it's usually not hard to find even 10 minutes to just get him out and brush him down. And it's a good time where I can just check him over, make sure that he doesn't have any injuries, he doesn't have any botfly eggs, he doesn't have any rain rot, things like that. Just horsey things that they can get. But for this week, or really the last couple of weeks, Hank has had some thrush in a couple of his feet. And so I've been trying to keep them picked out and treated at least every couple days to try to get a handle on that. And most of his feet are looking a lot better. He's got really just one that's still a problem, and then he's got just a touch of thrush still in a second foot as well. But he's a really good boy. And that I have a really long lead on him. You can see But you can just make slip knots all the way down, so you can untie them really fast if you need to. So that's what I did there. Now his feet are looking really long for him. He grows a lot of toe on his foot, so all horses are different. Some like to grow excessive amounts of heel, some like to grow a lot of toe, and then some just grow really fast all over, so they just get long feet in general. But Hank's type of feet, he grows a lot of toe, and that makes him kind of sit back on his heels more than he should. And then he's had farriers in the past that didn't necessarily trim him very well, and they didn't know to trim a lot of the toe and leave the heel, so they would trim back the heel, but that would give him more problems because his toe grows so much faster. So he's taught me a lot about kind of caring for hooves and what to look for. But we've got a really good farrier now, and he's going to be actually coming in a couple days, so the timing is perfect. But for keeping an eye on horses' feet, you really just want to clean out all the gunk and goop from around the frog, which is that middle part, and then the hoof part, which is kind of like fingernail material that surrounds the frog-looking part. And there's a lot of nooks and crannies sometimes that dirt can get up into, so you just want to be sure to clean it all out and get to kind of the white nail-looking tissue underneath. And then you can see, so thrush will hang out in the frog or around the frog. It's going to eat away at the frog itself, not at the nail bed tissue or the hoof tissue. So that's where you look for thrush. It's a black, kind of goopy looking substance, and it has a very distinctive smell. And as you can see here, I'm actually picking black thrushy goop out of the frog, and it's kind of eaten away at parts of his frog. And that, that's what it does. But his frog's actually looking a lot better than it did. It's been able to grow back. But these little nooks and crannies usually wouldn't be there in a healthy frog. It would be smooth. So I'm just going to treat it. This is a 3% iodine. And you just pour it all in there, just on the parts that need it. And then I hold up his hoof for just a minute to kind of let it soak in before putting his foot back down. And that's really all you need to do, as consistently as possible would be good. Every day or every other day works best. And usually within a couple weeks you'll see improvement. So after taking care of Hank, it was time to let the ladies out for the evening. Mr. Chicken is always ready and waiting. He gets so excited when they come out. It's really cute to see. They kind of ignore him, poor dear, but he takes his job very seriously, and if there's ever a cat that's looking sideways at them or someone suspicious hanging around, he's gonna let us know. So it's really fun to watch them. But chickens are really good to have, especially if you have bigger livestock, because if you're able to rotate your chickens around behind where your livestock have been grazing, it's ideal because they will scratch through all their manure and eat all the parasite eggs and larvae. And so it really puts a block in your parasite's worm cycle, or reproductive cycle. And so it really helps with keeping your land clean from parasite infestations. Of course, you've got to give the kitties their milk tax at milking time. They always ask politely. This little guy is growing like a weed. We're separating him now for milk. He's not too happy about it. So that's a typical day for us, just kind of going around doing the chores, making sure everybody's good, trying to fit in extra projects here and there. It's not necessarily always a long project that takes the whole day. Sometimes it's just like this, where you do a bunch of little things, and they're all important to get done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you would like more content, and please comment or ask questions, whichever you would like. And we'll catch you in the next one.